I am beyond excited. I met you a couple of months ago and I heard your story 3 times, and every single time I couldn't believe it. Tell us your amazing, incredible story.
Okay, so it all started 4 years ago. I was going backpacking around Europe, something I'd wanted to do my entire life. Was so excited. And then on about the 5th day of the holiday, we went to Switzerland. And I always knew that when I got to Switzerland, I was going to go skydiving. I don't know why, just in that spot, I was like, yep, I'm going to do it. So
you've never been skydiving before?
No, and I was even going to do it in Australia a few months earlier, but I was like, no, I'm going to wait and do it in this place for the first time. So we got to Switzerland and then we go up in the helicopter and I'm just so excited. Like, I'm just such an adrenaline junkie. So I was so excited, wasn't nervous at all. Everyone else was really nervous. Then yeah, we get up and then we're getting higher and higher, and when we get up to where we're jumping, I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually a little bit scary. We're really about to jump out. Then we jump out and it was the most incredible feeling in the entire world. Like, I imagined it would feel like falling, obviously, because that's what's happening, but it's like flying kind of, because the air against you, and it's just, there's nothing else on your mind in that moment. You're so present because obviously you can't think about anything else.
And you're tandem, you've got somebody.
Yeah, tandem, because it's the first time I'd done it. So yeah, tandem. Yeah. I felt totally safe. Yeah, I was just loving it. They tell you that they tap you on the shoulder and that's when they're going to pull the parachute. So I felt a tap and then you have to do this. So I did that, and then I felt the pull of the parachute, and because I'd never done it before, I didn't know what to expect. So to me, I thought, okay, it's all going well. But I did feel my head kind of be yanked backwards, and I was like, oh, they didn't kind of warn us about that. But I wasn't really, thinking that anything was going wrong. And then we kept kind of falling really fast. And I've seen videos where you kind of cruise around like this, but we were just really going straight down. And I was kind of yelling out to my instructor, like, are we okay? And he wasn't answering me. But again, I just thought, oh, maybe he can't hear me, or I can't hear him. But yeah, then the closer we got to the ground and I realized we were just still going straight down, that's when I realized something was definitely wrong. And it turns out that I didn't know this at the time, and I still don't exactly know what happened, but there's 2 parachutes in the backpack and they both came out at the same time, which isn't meant to happen, got all tangled, and one of the cords actually wrapped around the instructor's neck and strangled him, so he was unconscious, and that's why my head was pulled back, because it got wrapped around my hair as well. And yeah, so because of that, he couldn't do anything to, untangle the parachutes or to slow us down. So they stayed tangled and wasn't catching all the air. So we just fell really, really fast. And then I landed on my belly like that. And because he's strapped to my back, he landed on top. It's crazy. Even when I say it, I feel like it didn't really happen, or I feel like it wasn't me, because it's just such a bizarre, crazy, intense story that it doesn't feel real.
Can you just still remember that feeling of like the ground is...
Yeah, because I wasn't knocked unconscious. I kind of had always kind of wished that I was, so I didn't have that memory, but I can remember it, all so clearly.
My gosh. Okay. So you've landed. What are you thinking?
I was certain that we were about to die. Like, the speed we were going and seeing the ground there, and also in Switzerland, there's Alps, mountains, cliffs, waterfalls, like... We could have landed on anything, but we happened to land on this field of grass.
Wow. And
actually, probably here was a bitumen road just a metre away from us, and we landed on grass. And
wow.
Yeah, so I had no idea where we were going to land, and I just assumed that we were going to die. So my first thought when we landed on the ground was just like, took me a few seconds to be like, am I dead? Am I alive? Yeah. I remember just my first main thought was, seriously, like, was I really in a skydiving accident? Like, it just seems so far-fetched. And because I was, holidaying around Europe, having the time of my life, it just was so, it just didn't seem real.
Didn't
at
fit
all.
into the plan.
Yeah, not at all. And then the next thing I thought was, okay, I should go and get help, because my instructor still wasn't answering me. He wasn't moving, so I assumed that he had died, which he didn't, thankfully. So I tried to roll over to get the instructor off me, and that's when I realized that I couldn't move anything from the waist down. So I couldn't wriggle my toes, I couldn't move my legs, I couldn't even use my abs to roll over to get him off me. And that was just like the most insane, intense feeling of my life.
Wow. So you could feel your arms, you could feel your face, shoulders.
Yeah.
But just couldn't move your legs.
Couldn't move at all. Literally the space of 1 minute, your life can go from happy, carefree, 20-year-old, traveling the world. I was meant to be going to Rome the next day, and the next minute I'm on the ground thinking I'll never walk again in my life. I think there's a man dead on top of me. Like, it was just the most surreal thing.
Then what?
Because we were in the middle of a field, Switzerland, there was no one around.
And everyone else who had been jumping was nowhere to be seen?
Well, it was just, because we went in a helicopter, there was only myself, my instructor, and my best friend and her instructor. And I jumped first. So I thought, we'll just wait for them to land. I don't know how long it was after. It felt like a really long time, but it probably wasn't. They landed, and then they came running over to us and called for help, called the ambulance. I think actually there was a random person just walking past, and they had to go grab her phone and call for help. It didn't even occur to me that I had broken my back and that is what was wrong, so I wasn't meant to move. So still I was trying to like struggling, get off the ground, and but they're like, stay still, someone's coming. Yeah, but it was terrifying.
And your best friend, what happened?
So she got the phone, rang the ambulance, and then she even rang my mum.
So help came.
We had to wait for a rescue helicopter to take us to Bern, the capital city. Again, I don't know how long it took for the helicopter, but in my mind it was hours.
Forever.
But
yeah,
it probably wasn't.
Now that I know you, I see you're such a positive person, and you always see the silver lining and the bright side of things.
Yeah.
But in that moment...
Yeah, not then.
No.
I don't really remember this. Like, I remember it all, but I think the adrenaline really kicked in, so everything is a bit hazy in my memory. But apparently I was telling the doctors and everyone, I was like, don't bother saving me. I just want to die. Like, I don't want to live like this. Like, don't take me to hospital. Things like that. Yeah. Right. And I just remember thinking, nah, I can't do this. No way.
How was the news delivered? Did they tell you you're paralyzed now? You've broken your back?
Yeah, this is the thing. I don't remember like one specific time when a doctor came in and said, you're a paraplegic, you'll never walk again. I just remember knowing it. Again, the first like 2 weeks after my accident is so hazy because of all the medication and adrenaline and everything. But I just remember like doctors coming in and saying it, and I always just knew that, yeah, I'd broken L1 in my spine and I was a paraplegic, and they didn't think that I'd ever walk.
Oh my gosh. So you can walk.
No.
You walked in here. You walked to this couch. You walk. I met you. It's
ridiculous.
You're a walking
every day
person.
when I like think about it, which is always, and I'm just like, oh my god, like
how? So you're in the hospital bed. You know that you can't feel your legs. You know your body.
Yeah.
You know what you had and then what you didn't have, and how can you walk right now?
Yeah.
What is that part?
So I was in hospital in Switzerland for 1 month. I had 2 surgeries, and I had to wait a month because I had to collapse a lung for the surgery, and I couldn't fly until a month after that.
Okay.
So I stayed over there for a month, and that whole month was just in bed, like didn't do any rehab. And then we came back to Australia, and I went to a spinal rehab for 3 months. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the 3 months, I was walking, not always, but I could walk a little bit in physio with a physio behind me, a few meters. But it just slowly happened. Like, first I got movement back in my feet, and then my knees, and then like my hips. It was really, really slow. And yeah, started walking first on a walking frame, like leaning all of my weight on it, and then 2 crutches, then eventually 1 crutch. Yeah, just really, really lucky. Like, it was really hard work, and I obviously tried really hard and went to physio 2 times every day and did everything that I was supposed to, but I also just got really lucky in the sense that my nerves wasn't as badly injured as other people.
Yeah. Did the doctors think you were a bit of a miracle?
I wish the doctors in Switzerland that I could have, speak to them again and wonder if they ever thought this would happen, because they saw me initially.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone was pretty like shocked and happy, and yeah. I always had the feeling that I was going to walk again. I know that they were telling me I wasn't, and it really like hit home when they told me, no, you're not going to walk again. But I always was like, just a part of me didn't believe it at all. But whereas the other parts of my injury, I never questioned. Like, they said you'll never feel your legs again, which I still can't. And I always I'm like, I won't feel my legs again. But walking, I don't know why, but I'd always just thought, nah, I'm going to be able to do that.
So you can't feel your legs, but you can walk. So
Yeah,
is that like your brain just telling you to take the steps?
Yeah,
Is that
so
how
there's
it works?
two different, I don't know if I'm explaining this medically correct, but there's two different nerves. One's motor, which is movement, and one's sensory, which is feeling, and they're totally separate. So my motor nerves work really well, but the sensory nerves never came back. It was really hard to get used to knowing where my legs are in relation to my body, so my balance is really, really off. It's gotten a lot better now, but even things like sitting on a seat like this, I can't feel me touching the seat. So I used to be like, oh my God, I'm floating. Like, it's so bizarre. And sitting on tall stools, I would be kind of like a bit wobbly. Like, yeah, it took a long time to get used to. And driving, knowing where the pedals are.
Wow.
It's been weird. But now it's just so normal for me that, and I don't remember what it was like to be able to feel them.
Really? So
Yeah.
that's like a distant memory.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You have a really strong following on social media. Did you build that up from this accident and just putting positivity out there into the world and telling people that they can overcome things and do?
I didn't even mean to. It just kind of happened. I've always loved writing, like kind of like a diary. So if I'm feeling anything, I write it down and I feel so much better. So I'd always done that, and I started doing that and just posting like pretty much my diary entries on Instagram. I don't even remember how, but people started finding them and reading them, and I guess people liked how like real and raw and emotional it was, because I feel like now there's a lot of that on social media, but a few years ago maybe I just didn't see it, but I feel like there wasn't a lot of like people sharing their emotions. And ever since, I've just always shared whatever I'm going through, like the ups, the downs. I just love writing.
I love reading it because you're right. It's very raw. It's very in the moment, and it's the good and the bad. It's those tough, terrible days. Yeah. But it's also those really like mountaintop moments where you're feeling great.
Yeah, that's the thing. I always write it like I write something straight away and post it straight away. So I don't have a few days to be like, oh, I don't actually feel bad anymore. I'll edit that out. It's just like exactly how I'm feeling straight away. Yeah.
If you didn't know your story and you're looking online and looking at your blog and seeing all the things you do, you would actually not know that was happening. And then once you delve a little deeper and start reading, you're like, oh my gosh, this girl has got some serious things that she's dealing with, because as a result of the injury, you still have ongoing problems that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. For
me, there were 4 main problems. So loss of movement, which I'm really lucky that I've got back, but still some muscles in my legs don't work, like my calves, so I can't jump or run, so I walk with a bit of a limp. Number 2 was loss of sensory, so the loss of feeling from like here down, which mainly affects like my balance and also my ability to heal. So if I get a bruise or a scratch, it takes a really, really long time to heal, which I never even really thought of until this year when I started injuring my legs, and I'm like, oh, they're not really healing. The third thing is loss of bladder control, which is something I had absolutely no idea about. When I saw someone in a wheelchair, I didn't realize that they were dealing with that. So I have to use catheters, and I have no idea. I can't feel when I need to go or anything like that. So that's been something that's been, now it's kind of normal to me, but it took a really long time to get used to. And then the fourth is loss of bowel control, which is probably like one of the harder things and weirdest things to get used to.
And I saw a post, actually, it was maybe a couple of weeks ago, about that, the bladder control, loss of bladder control. And you just took a photo of you with your wet pants. I know. And I was like, that is so brave.
But see, to me, it doesn't even seem brave. Like, I remember when it first happened, I was so embarrassed all the time because I have accidents like all the time, every few hours.
And you just never know. Like, you never know when that's going to happen. It could be here right now.
Exactly. And I used to get so embarrassed, and then so I'd never want to leave the house. I'd never want to do anything. And then after a while, I was like, well, I'm literally never going to do anything because this is going to happen my whole life. So I can either be okay with it and go out and see friends and do things anyway, or I can sit inside my whole life and do nothing and pee myself anyway. So I thought, I don't know, I just started telling everyone around me, and especially now with social media, people kind of know that about me. I don't even have to tell them. So I love that everyone knows. So if it happens, like, no one's like, oh my God, is she okay? Like everyone's like, okay, that's just a part of her life. Like,
what do you feel like I hate the word calling on purpose because I feel like that's a lot of pressure
Yeah,
on a person. But do you feel like since you've got a second chance, is it mostly about just enjoying it and appreciating it and looking at the sky and thinking, I never saw the sky like that before? Is it more like that?
Yeah, two sides. Like, one is that, just me personally learning like to love life as much as I do now. And as you said about the sky, I remember one day, it was probably like 2 years after my accident, I was just looking up and it was the sunset and I started crying. I was like, does this normally happen? Like, I just never noticed. There's a sunset every single day and I never took the time to notice things like that.
Yeah.
Like, it just changes your perspective of everything and makes you appreciate everything so much more.
Yeah.
So for me, that's one thing that I really, I just really strive to like make the most out of this life that I've been given. And then the second thing would, I guess, be to also help other people find that. I really love the perspective that I've got from a near-death experience, but I never want anyone to have to go through a near-death experience.
Right.
So I like kind of passing on the lessons I've learned to people without them having to go through that.
Would you talk about body image, which is huge no matter what age, race, sex you are? Body image is a huge thing that takes up a lot of brain space in all of our brains.
One of my friends said to me one day, this was back when I couldn't walk very well at all, and she's like, oh my God, I love you, like I love your legs, they're so skinny, can we switch legs? And I was like, yeah, like I'd love your legs filled with like muscle that can run and jump and do things. And she just loved that mine, like at the time they had a lot of muscle wastage, so they were really like not good, skinny. And I was like, that's really kind of messed up that she knows that my legs don't really work like that. And she has these perfectly functioning legs, yet she'd rather them look the way that mine do. And it just really, I was like, wow. And then it made me think about how, I used to see my legs and be like, because I was really sporty, so they were muscly, and I just pick apart things about my body, which now every part of my body, I'm like, my hands, oh my God, they can pick things up. Like my legs take me from A to B, my eyes let me see. Like, think about what the body can do for you rather than what it looks like.
I mean, that is a good revelation to have. Very good.
Yeah, it really changed a lot. Now, I don't ever find myself like criticizing my body anymore, because if I do, I just be like, no, like you're so lucky, you're so healthy, it works. Yeah.
So great. I love that message out there in the world. It's so positive. Would you ever go skydiving again?
People always ask me this. I think that I would, but maybe in a few more years. Like, I know it's been a long time, but I feel like I'd need a bit longer to do that. My friend went skydiving a few months ago and I went up in the plane with her, and I never intended on jumping out, but I just wanted to kind of see how it felt. And I didn't realize this, but they were like, you have to get strapped to your instructor in case for some reason you have to jump out, you have to be ready. And I was like, oh my God. So we went up there and I felt totally fine. I was like, oh, this is a nice view, like over Byron Bay. I was like, this is great. And then as soon as they opened the door, I don't know if it was like the familiar sound of the wind gushing past, or like the adrenaline in the plane, or like, I don't know, but I just lost it. And I was like, wow. It felt kind of really good afterwards, like I released something, but I was like, I definitely would not be able to jump out yet.
Yeah. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would that be?
When you said that, I thought my spinal cord. I wish that it would heal and that I could do all the things I love to do again. But then at the same time, it's taught me so much that I don't even know if I would change it if I could, because I feel like I'm a much better person for everything that I've been through.
What about in those bad days? Like, we can see the good days and the positive things, and you just get up and go and live your life and have the best day possible. But what about those bad days in your brain? Like, what are those thoughts telling you?
I've never really felt angry about my accident, but I can get really frustrated because sometimes I feel like people don't know that I was like the really athletic, sporty, like adventurous person, and kind of not everyone, but some people kind of see me as like this fragile like girl that is careful about her life, whereas I'm like, no, like so I can get a bit frustrated being in a body that doesn't like allow me to do everything I want to do. But even so, I feel like the feelings don't really last very often, because I don't know, I just try to put everything in perspective, and I think, what can I still do rather than what can't I do? But sometimes things are just sucky
Yep.
and have a good cry.
Yep.
I love having a cry. I always feel so much better afterwards. And then,
So do I.
Yeah.
It's like, it's therapy.
Yeah.
And two, probably writing everything down.
It's helped me so much.
Yeah, and putting it out there into the world, knowing that there's other people out there that are either empathetic towards you or going through the same thing, or you've made somebody else's day just by being raw and honest. Like that's therapy as well.
Yeah, I really love writing for that reason. Yeah.
And you're an artist too.
Yeah.
Just so many things.
The word artist seems so intense. But yeah, I draw, which I actually started drawing after my accident when I was in hospital. And I had just a lot of time in hospital. And I remember thinking like, okay, my legs aren't working, but my arms are, my hands are. So I got into drawing. I just started posting pictures on Instagram. And then people started being like, oh, can I buy that? And I was like, what? You want to buy my drawing that I just drew, like, while I'm just laying in bed?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. And then I was like, wow. And then I kept drawing, kept posting pictures, and then it turned into, kind of like a job. So it's awesome. It really worked out. So people buy my drawings, and I drew a mural down at Bondi Beach, which was awesome.
I've seen it.
Yeah, but drawing has been another kind of therapeutic thing for me. Yeah.
And Carey, you are a legend.
Thank you.
Like an actual real life legend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
I loved hearing that story again. And all the real details. These are all the questions that I wanted to ask you. So now I'm glad I got it off my chest. But you really are. You're an inspiration to.
Thank you so much.
The young girls out there, the ones that are just struggling through. I would be more than happy to say, look at Carey to be your role model and follow everything you do.
That's so lovely.
Well done.
Thank you.